In the end, burning the entire place down was easier. With that issue taken care of, I thought I would come to see how things are progressing in East City.
I smell him. I can smell him. The Scarface just fallen. He's close. I still get to eat him right.
Wow, so we got a lot to go over already. So let's start with the first things first that were changed from the manga. As things were more or less just switch around or full on just cut out completely to make the pace go faster for the episode. The first thing that's missing is that before the fight actually happens, we cut to Mustang after Ed and Al discover the library is burned down. He's being chewed out by some superiors, so we get to see his frustration and why it's so important that he has to be the one to catch Scar. So it's not just a promotion or anything he's gunning after for the recognition for catching him, it's also the fact he's got people breathing down his neck about it too. Next up, the changes that 03 made to this scene, because in order to get its pacing done, it actually combined the fight between Lust, Gluttony, and Scar in the library, having it be a cause and effect. Because originally in it, Lust was just going to look for the documents and burn them. But because of the fight with Scar, it ended up accidentally all burning down, which just happened to work in her favor. Which I kind of like. It adds a little bit more of a cause and effect. Plus, in my opinion, the fight is way more badass in 03 than it was in Brotherhood. That's just my opinion, which we might as well treat as fact at this point.
Scar hasn't been sighted.
Maybe he's not even in East City anymore.
I hope you're wrong about that.
Huh?
This case has obviously gotten to be too much for Central to handle. If I can close it quickly enough, I'll be golden. I've got a ladder to climb, and this is how it's done. At least until I've assumed the office of Führer, that is.
You may not want to display your ambitions quite so nakedly, sir.
It's funny, without that officer breathing down Mustang's neck, we see that much more cockier side of him we see very often. And very early on sets up how he thinks he's not untouchable, but a little bit more ahead of the game than what he actually is. Because right now he is still just a pawn in games far beyond his understanding.
Yeah, I'll be sure to remember that in the future.
Reporting in, sir! We've just received word of an explosion occurring on the Marl River.
What?
So yeah, this scene actually takes place before the fight between Scar, Lust, and Gluttony in the sewers. And then you actually see Gluttony on top of the roof listening in on Mustang's little conversation, keeping an eye on him. It's almost as if they were slightly hinting at that he might have a bigger role in this story later on than he's even aware of.
That's called foreshadowing.
Was it a gas explosion?
With everything else that's been going on around here, who knows?
There's no mistaking it. This was definitely Scar's jacket.
Have you found the body?
Not yet, but we're still searching.
Either way, he can't be in good shape after losing this much blood.
Yeah, but we do this by the book. We need to find hard proof that he's dead.
It's kind of funny how they all just assume Scar is, oh dude, his jacket's all bloody. He must be dead. He must be really hurt. He must be fucked. And yet it seems like none of them are remembering this is the same guy who took on like a whole squad of soldiers, a massively talented sniper and firearms expert, like 3 state alchemist, and was still able to leave with barely a few scratches. If I saw Scar's jacket coated in blood at a crime scene or a disaster site, I wouldn't automatically assume he's dead. I would have assumed it was so damaged he had to leave it behind and he really fucked someone up and be looking for, you know, bodies. Because I'm just gonna be honest, compared to like the rest of them right now, unless Mustang's, you know, not in water, Scar is him.
All right, Lieutenant Havoc.
Yes, sir?
You and your men will work day and night to clear out this debris. I want his body found. Don't take so much as a coffee break until that's done. Do you understand?
Looks like you got away.
I didn't get my snack.
Yes, I know. Maybe next time.
Excuse me, ma'am. What the fuck did you two just say? What do you mean by snack and that he got away? Like, did you have something to do with this? Hey, yo, officers! These two got something to do with it over here. They got something to do with it over here.
Suppose I'll be heading back to Central again. I need to report to Father about everything that's happened here.
Our first hint at Father, someone that's in charge of the homunculus. Very interesting. Very interesting.
There's nothing left here but ashes. Everything's gone.
Major Armstrong!
Oh, Second Lieutenant Ross and Sergeant Brosh. To what do we owe this pleasure?
It's so weird. Not weird as in bad, but weird as in different whenever I see Maria Ross in Brotherhood in 03. Because she's so similar, yet so different. In Brotherhood, she still acts like a soldier and, you know, looks after Ed and Al, but pretty much the same amount as anyone else. While in 03, she very heavily takes up a motherly role to Ed and Al, trying to look after them more than anyone else at that point, to be honest. The best way I can compare it is that in 03, not only do they have Hughes as a father figure, they have Maria Ross as a mother figure to them. And I love both versions. I think both serve their stories very well in the very different ways. So no complaints, just always fascinating to see how different they were taken.
You have been ordered to report back to the command center, sir.
We'll be taking over supervision of Edward Elric and his brother effective immediately.
Very well is yours.
All might not be lost. There's a woman who was well acquainted with the materials in the first branch.
So, in the manga in 03, Maria Ross doesn't know just who Sheska is. They actually go to, like, the first headquarters of the libraries to see if anything by Tim Marco was moved or taken out by chance. That's when Ed and Elle discover that there was a woman working there called Sheska that might know something about it, and they go off to see her. Also in 03, when Ed was trying to look into Tucker's research, he actually saw Sheska working there earlier in a previous episode. It's clear they did this just to save a little bit of time and, you know, combine scenes. Nothing major was lost, just a cool little instance of 03 being a little bit more faithful than Brotherhood was at times. Not bad in a way this time though, just different.
Something wrong?
Oh, it's nothing. Although, if you don't mind me asking, why are you wearing a suit of armor?
It's a hobby. Oh, wow. There's gotta be a million of them.
Please help me! There's somebody under there!
I thought I was going to suffocate under there.
So, are you Sheska?
Yes.
Sheska. She is one of my favorite Fullmetal Alchemist characters, and that's solely because of 03. She is done so dirty in Brotherhood that I'll get into it later when we see her for her last appearance in the show. But for now, I think I'll talk about the slight differences for her introduction between 03 and Brotherhood. In Brotherhood, she was more self-pity and dramatic with her self-loathing. While in 03, she is more grounded and felt like a real person who's just down on their luck who messed up and they know they did. Here, I'll show the two things side by side so you can see what I mean.
Oh, the library! The word itself is so beautiful! I've loved books my whole entire life. That job was heaven! But I forgot that I was supposed to be working and all I ever did was read. So they fired me. If I don't find another job, I'll never be able to move my poor elderly mother into a better hospital. I'm useless, good for nothing.
Thank you all so much, really. They always said I'd probably die with my head in a book. I just never thought they meant it literally.
Sheska, you used to work in the library's first branch, isn't that right?
That's right. Unfortunately, they fired me for what they called lackluster performance, i.e. reading instead of doing my work. I needed that job. My mom's sick and I've got to pay her bills. But being surrounded by all those books, I couldn't control myself.
Sorry to hear that. Let me just cut to the chase. Do you happen to remember ever seeing a book written by Tim Marco while you were working there? It's really...
As you can see, they slightly changed and toned her down in 03 compared to manga and Brotherhood. Which honestly was kind of for the best for the way they were going to take her. And I'll make sure to get into all of the differences between Sheska's 03 and Brotherhood / Mangahood counterparts in a future video, because I'm not gonna lie, it's such a huge difference that it might warrant its own entire video dedicated to talking about the differences. Because one is she's just basically a plot device, and in the other, she's an entire integral character to the story. So you can see how the two are a little too big and different to cover in like 5 minutes.
Do you remember seeing any research belonging to someone named Tim Marco?
Let's see, Tim Marco. Oh, yes, of course, I remember now.
Really?
Oh, yeah, there was some handwritten notes stuffed into a bookcase where they didn't belong.
The notes really were there after all. Which means they burned up along with everything else in the library.
Did you want to read them? Is that why you're asking?
So, while 03 isn't known for its humor and such, more for its gritty, dark tones and total change of the story. They did add one of my favorite visual jokes in the entirety of Fullmetal Alchemist for this scene. In 03, when Sheska asked this, words can't do it justice. I'm just gonna let it speak for itself.
Helped us out. Thanks to you, we at least know that the book really existed in there. And now I think I know what my next move is.
What? You mean it's not totally a lost cause?
I'm gonna transmute the ashes of these books to their original forms.
That would be incredible. You can really do something like that?
Watch and learn.
Wow, strong wind. Is that what I was supposed to be watching for?
Pure gold. So, the short version of what happens is Sheska reveals that she has a photographic memory. That's an amazing feat, by the way, keep that in mind. And she basically rewrites all of Tim Marco's notes for him. Basically because she read it, she can remember it, and therefore she can recreate it. Which she does. Which at first doesn't seem like a too bad of a thing, but when I talk to her more in depth later on in a future video again, you'll see why this is a big misstep and basically a waste of her character and abilities.
Here you are, complete copies of all Tim Marco's notes. Sorry, I know 5 days is a long time to wait, but there was quite a lot to write down. Written by Tim Marco, 1000 easy recipes.
So, it's revealed that the notes Marco left for them were cooking recipes. While humorous at first, it doesn't take Ed long to realize, wait a minute, this is just a code. As most alchemists keep their research notes encrypted so it's hard for the common person to read it, hopefully stopping it from falling into the wrong hands because, as we'll see later on, when powerful alchemy is in the wrong hands, it'll have devastating effects. Oh yeah, one small difference between Brotherhood and 03 for the Sheska's payment scene is that it's Maria Ross who stays in Mangahood and Brotherhood, and it's Doyle who stays in 03. Nothing major with that, just a neat little change. And with that, Ed and Al start their journey on trying to get Marco's notes decrypted. To varying degrees of success at first. And I'm not gonna lie, I haven't noticed till this latest rewatch the funny little visual gag of Alphonse's helmet stabbing into the table and paper. That's really nice. But their moping is interrupted as a couple of familiar faces stop by to say hi.
Excuse me?
Sheska.
Have you had any luck deciphering it so far?
Have you found another job yet?
So yeah, Shesta stopped by to thank them and they have a nice little pep talk with her. And it just so happens as they're talking, another familiar face walks in.
Yo!
Lieutenant Colonel Hughes.
That's right, it's Hughes, and he's looking alive and well, living life to the fullest, enjoying that sweet, sweet life of his.
Something urgent came up, sorry.
Anyway.
Wow, I have never noticed that before, but it's a blink and you miss it frame, but you can actually see Hughes' knife on his strap in the back. That's neat, but they really should have hinted more at that later on for what's coming up.
As if things weren't bad enough for us already. The first branch had to burn down in the middle of all this. All our case records were stored in the stacks at that location, and trying to work without them hasn't been a picnic, let me tell you. What?
Hey, Lieutenant Colonel, I think I've got exactly the person you guys are looking for.
Well, I have read the military's criminal case records, and I do remember them all.
That's all I needed to hear, lady. You're hired. My office pays well, so don't worry.
Oh, you're saying you want me? Oh, thanks so much. I'll have faith just like you told me to. Thank you, thank you.
Come on now, right to work.
She may not be thanking us for long.
And with that, Sheska's miniature character art is complete. When we first meet her, she was struggling to keep a job, and now she has one that she will excel at. And to be honest, if this was the last we saw of her, that'd be perfect. It'd be fine. Just another person Ed and Al helped along their journey because they're just good people. But, as we'll discuss later on, she comes back in future episodes, and while not ruined, is just completely forgotten about. And to be honest, I think that's a fate worse than being ruined, because at least when you're ruined, you have an ending of some sort, but with being forgotten, you're just wasted potential.
In that case, a certain someone should hurry and get back to work.
And with that, Ed and Al happily get right to work trying to crack Marco's codes, spending a whole 3 days non-stop working on it until they finally crack it, and then the truth is revealed.
To hell with
with it! Don't get angry because you can't crack it. Throwing things won't help.
We did crack it.
Huh?
We cracked the code and decrypted the notes.
Really? You did? But that's a good thing, isn't it?
There's nothing good about this, damn it! This is the devil's research. It should have been destroyed. Dr. Marco was right. It's evil. The main ingredient for a philosopher's stone is human life.
With the truth discovered, Ed and Al are absolutely crushed by it. The fact that the thing they've been searching for, the one hope they had at restoring their bodies, is made of such a horrible sacrifice of human lives absolutely destroys them. And they ask Maria and Doyle to keep quiet about it, but they're not the best at keeping secrets.
The fatigue must be catching up to them. They seem to have devoted all their energy to these notes.
They worked so hard to decipher those notes only to find out that.
It disturbs me, too, just thinking about it. I bet I'd act the same way.
What was that?
Oh, it was nothing, sir!
With the knowledge of the soul-crushing truth, Ed and Al rightfully take a few days just to sulk and mope about what they've learned, and how it must be all some sick joke that God plays on people who commit taboos. And it seems like Ed's just about to tell Al some sort of secret he's been holding on to this whole time. But they get a surprise visit from someone who will not just let him sit and mope.
Elric Brothers, I know you're in there! Open up!
What do we do?
We ignore him, that's what.
I know what it said, Edward Elric! How tragic! To think the legend of the Philosopher's Stone is built on such a terrible secret!
We're really sorry.
It's hard to stay quiet when someone like him asks you.
Imagine the military being behind something like that! Often the truth is more cruel than we bargained for!
And with that little bit of wordplay from the Major, it hits Ed like a truck what Marco said. He has to look for the truth within the truth. Realizing this can't be all he wanted him to find out, he starts digging. And with the Major help, he learns of the 4 main laboratories where Marco was working at. However, with a little bit of clever thinking and discovery, Ed discovers the 5th laboratory, which is presumed to be condemned and unstable to be worked in. But on closer look, it's located right next to a prison, where it'd be very convenient if you need to sacrifice human lives to have condemned prisoners right next door. It doesn't take long for Ed and the others to discover this truth. But before Ed and Al can go out and do something, the Major has a few words for them.
This has the potential of becoming a political nightmare before long. You Elric Brothers, behave! I know you 2 boys! You were thinking about sneaking into this building and taking a look around, weren't you? Admit it!
We weren't, we promise! Yeah, sure we weren't. A guard posted in an unused building. Interesting.
That is suspicious. And...
Al, you need to wait here.
So, after sneaking off and running off to the 5th laboratory, because of course they would do that, this is Ed and Al we're talking about, Ed makes his way inside while Alphonse has to stay out back because he's too big to make it in. And Ed even calls himself a tiny little pipsqueak by mistake during this.
I couldn't get through this far if I was regular size.
Oh no! I just got myself a tiny little pipsqueak!
There are lights on. Not currently in use. Who are they trying to fool?
And before the episode closes out, it looks like Ed and Al have a bit more of a fight on their hands than they were expecting. And with that, the episode closes out. And to be honest, solid episode, really good. Its pacing, its way of handling, and it's all very manga accurate. I'd give it a solid quality-wise 9 out of 10. Just a really enjoyable episode that makes you excited for the next one. There was some stuff I want to talk about with Sheska, but I'm going to save that for the future, as I mentioned before. And there are some differences between Ed and Al going into Laboratory 5 between 03 and Brotherhood. But I figured that'd be more better to talk about in the next episode, as it focuses a lot more heavily on the inside of Laboratory 5. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you enjoyed it, hit subscribe and like and share it. You know how YouTube works. But seriously, guys, to anyone who stays and watches and really just wants to hear my dumb little thoughts on this show that I have a hyperfixation on, I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much. And have a great day. Peace.